live. Hi everyone. Welcome to Echo Art with Carmella-T. I hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. And I wanted to get on here and answer a few questions on the Kiwandi inspired projects. Now we have a lot of videos on this channel um, where we have Boro Sashiko inspired projects, we have Kiwandi inspired projects. I like to get right on and answer the questions that are coming to me currently because we have so many videos. I don't know what I have. I know 4, 5, 600. I have a lot. And let's see if I can figure out what I have out there. So, a couple things. For Christmas, we have a number of projects scheduled to do. And on for what do I want to say, in a meditation theme, chakra theme, actually. So in the chakra theme, we're going to do a rag wreath, a mini rag wreath, and I will be doing that with you. And I was just looking for something I want to show you something here. Let's see. Okay. I have over 730. I have 733. I don't know if you can see that, videos. Over 700. Oh my goodness. Seriously, I thought I was still at 600. So a couple things I want to show you. This is the size of, before we get started on Kiwandi, this is the size approximately of the mini wreaths. This size about 2, 2.5, 3, up to 8-inch diameter, okay? So those are the sizes we've been working on. So I just wanted to share that with you. And so now the Kiwandi. For those of you who are not familiar with Kiwandi or Boro inspired, these are historical cultural arts, okay? Boro inspired is called inspired because it's not the authentic type of Boro that they created or they stitched with Sashiko stitch invisible stitching way back in the 1400s in Japan, or that they do in Japan today, because the generations, the families, handed down the skill set and taught the intricacies of creating Boro, which is why I would love to go to Japan one day and study them. So anyway, now Kiwandi is from the city women of India, and we also call that Kiwandi inspired. Because, and I'm going to tell you, people are doing the Kiwandi different ways. So I'm going to talk to you about and show you the way that I do it. And we're going to start, I'm going to start we're going to do a demo. And we'll do some stitching because I think that will help. Because this is the question I got on the stitching. So, and then we'll repeat the question. But the question was this. When you're going around doing your stitching on Kiwandi, you start from the outer edge, and we're going to do this together. The question is, my stitch isn't catching the fabric when I'm going in the rounds. So how do you do that? What do you do? So I think there's a couple of answers to that, depending on really what's happening. But some people make their fabric remnant scrap fabrics. They'll cut them to be even to go around, especially for Kiwandi. I don't. So that's how I'm going to demonstrate this, is I'm going to demonstrate it with all different sizes of the Kiwandi. So the fabric, the scrap fabrics are also, um, um, we're working with raw edges, and the question in this was the artisan is folding her edges. So I do not fold the edges, and a lot of the authentic city women, the city women of India who create authentic Kiwandi, I guess they could choose to fold or not, but I understand they don't. So I'm going to show you like that as I'm doing it. And let's get a piece of fabric. So I'm going to cut a piece about as big as this box that we are using, and I'm going to give you the measures. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being with me. You know, today I'm going to tell you something funny. It's kind of funny, and I'm going to be fine, but I'm going to tell you something. I called in, not today, I didn't call in. I'm not typically scheduled, I'm not a scheduled regular on Sundays. So if I feel I need the day, I can take it off. I just let them know ahead of time. And then I am able to take the day. So I felt like kind of tired. And I know when I'm getting tired, sometimes my back will give out. So I took today off. And guess what? My back gave out this morning. That's why you see cushions behind me, and I'm at a really weird angle, so it's kind of coming in weird. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna put the camera down. Well, maybe we should cut some fabrics first, but I'm gonna tell you what size this is I'm using in case you want to come along with me. I got 2 pieces here, so hopefully my back should be straightened all out by tomorrow, but it is sore. All the muscles pulled. It's not that I've been shoveling heavy shovels of snow either. Okay, we do have snow though. Okay, so 8.5 by almost about 9.5. Okay, 8.5 by 9.5. So this is the thing. When I do, okay, Kiwandi or Boro inspired or Kiwandi inspired, one of the things I noticed very quickly is my base piece of fabric, and this is a cloth piece. So you could use batting, like a thin piece of batting, or some people will actually add batting later. If you do that, you're going to end up with 4 layers, because this is your base or your middle layer. In my opinion, this is the middle layer, and then you put the fabric on top. Your scrap fabric's what we're going to do next, and then in the back you're going to have backing. So that will be your back. That will be 3 layers, and when you have 3 layers of your fabrics, guess what? You have a quilt. Okay, so we're going to put this down. And I've got fabric. Oh, I do. I have a whole look. We got to go through this first. This is important to answer the question. Oh, hi, who's that? Edgar Garcia. How do you subscribe? There should be a subscribe button. There's no pay or anything like that. We're all free. We're not doing the monetization crap. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting myself in that position. I'll go teach at an organization for monetization or teach here free for you. So there should be a subscribe button. So this is what we do first for the Kiwandi. If my back was better, I would turn this camera around and get a quilt I had gotten at the thrift shop for $2.99 and show you this quilt. They are using a Kiwandi design. And I don't want to get like political or anything on this, but I gotta tell you, when I see that in manufacturing, it's so difficult for me because I know that they're getting the design from the historical cultural arts. They are. So anyway, what we're gonna do is I'm going to cut pieces of fabric out that I think might be conducive to the size. So this is about 8 by 9. Okay, so this I'm not crazy about this size, but we'll go with the size or smaller. So this will be 4 by 3. Okay, we're gonna have all different shapes though. We're not going to have all 4 by 3s. We could, you could. Now this viewer here on YouTube, by the way, if you're new to this channel, Eco Art with Carmella-T, we create with all recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies. And it's our way to give the earth a little hug. And I wrote a whole book about it called Recycle, Inspire, and Create, Reviving Earth with Historical Cultural Arts. It's on Amazon. You see the little link on my profile page of my YouTube channel, Eco Art with Carmella-T. And I'm telling people about that because this point I'm trying to make, I want very much to make, is that we create with these recycled fabrics, in a way, we're definitely helping our earth, but we're also bringing awareness to our beautiful cultural arts, historical cultural arts. It really does bother me in a great way that when I hear things with, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of bothers me when I hear the contemporary words that people use in the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, the contemporary words of slow stitching and whatnot like that, because those came from somewhere. They did. They came from an ancient history of different countries around the world, but primarily the Asian countries. But I would love to hear as inspired by, and sometimes you do read it or hear it, but a lot of times you don't. So anyway, this is what we're doing. We're cutting out these pieces. This one, I kind of want to keep this for the little rag wreaths we're making. I'm going to keep that. And we're making these mini rag wreaths. I am so ecstatic about the mini rag wreaths. You know that I am. Like, I can't even, I'm like, okay. So let's just get our fabric. And so far I've cut out a few here. So I just camera down, okay, so you can see, because you can't, who's there? Oh, you subscribe. Well, thank you, Edgar. Thank you, Edgar. Thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you. And if you have questions, where did I put my scissors, guys? I just had them right here. Did I put them in the basket? Oh my God, it's like, welcome to my world. We really can't go forward without our scissors. I've got these teeny little ones, but these aren't the ones we need. Huh. Did they fall? I may have to go get... Well, there are other ways to get our fabrics. So this is what I'm going to do. It's what I typically do anyway. So when you do this, by the way, when you just tear your fabrics like that, it the ends here that you may be nervous about fraying, because we're going to use we're using our raw edges. Okay, so I'm going to put this back up for a minute. I have not a clue where my scissors went. Did you see where they went? We were using them. That is so weird. I swear this place is kind of weird like that. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not sitting on them. Anyway, it's very odd. This place, things will like go missing and then just turn up, like right in front of my face. So it's not that I'm misplacing them, like right in front of my face go missing. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I am getting all my scrap fabrics. Now, I'm just talking to you, I'm going to talk to you for those of you who are familiar with Kiwandi. Any of you familiar with Kiwandi who's out there or coming through? Hi Levi, hi Levi and Goosebumps, hi. Sorry I did not see you there. Welcome, welcome, welcome guys. So if you're familiar with Kiwandi, there's a couple different methods out there going that have been out there for years actually on the internet. And there's one lady in particular, and I'm not going to talk about the famous people. There's one YouTuber out there in particular who I really like the way she shows how to do Kiwandi. She makes it very simple. She's like, but this is the thing. In the traditional Kiwandi, there is a very, I don't want to say obscure, but to me, it's a very intricate, unique way that they add the batting. It is, because the way they do it, and we're not going to do it today, but we'll pick a day and we'll do that, okay? We will pick a day and do it, because this is how they do it. They do fold, I'll show you in a minute, but they fold part of their fabric going around the first row. They sew it to the edge of their project, and then they tuck in the batting. Now, why I call this inspired is because I skip that part completely. I use my base as my batting. The reason is, it's technically, I end up technically with 3 layers, okay? So I'm going to explain that. So that's why I call it, oh, I love it, this. Look. You know, there's something about blue. This, you don't see the blue around a lot. I'm just saying you don't. Some of these are just too small, or they're too big. Okay. So these colors are going to pop. They're going to pop. Yeah, wait till you see this, Edgar. Okay, if you're new, for those of you new and you're scrolling and you're like, well, what the heck is Kiwandi? Kiwandi means quilt, and it's a historical cultural art of the city women of India. Now, these women, these families, a large amount of these families were enslaved from their homeland of Africa. So they're descendants of Africa. And the Kiwandi was made in Africa for families, like kind of synonymous to like memory quilts. They would use the fabrics and whatnot that their family members had worn. This goes back hundreds of years. Who knows? It could be thousands. Seriously, I'm not kidding you. Textile quilting goes back thousands of years, okay? Anyway, with that said, so some of the families, a large amount of the families were enslaved, and then others went over to India as merchants. Now, the ones who were enslaved is very interesting, because if you dive just a teeny bit into the detail of being enslaved, watched, okay, controlled, told what to do, what not to do. Think about this for a minute. But they held on to the beautiful, beautiful skill of creating their quilts from their culture of Kiwandi. They somehow held on to it and passed it down generation to generation. This is very interesting, just the history by itself. Okay? So now here I'm going to answer the question in the middle of us creating, and I just want to, so if you're doing this with me, get your thread. If you don't have lacy crochet thread, get some thread, just so you can come along. This is the best right here, and you want a wide-eyed embroidery needle. Okay, you want a wide-eyed embroidery needle to begin. If this is kind of big, this one. Oh, maybe I have, hang on, let me look in here. The sashiko needles, this is my sashiko. Is this my sashiko? I do have sashiko needles. But no, but these are, you see how wide-eyed these are, but these are super short. But they're at least smaller than the end of this. So I have another, let me see about this one. This one might do. This one, let me try this one. I have hundreds of embroidery needles because when I'm in the thrift shop, that's kind of what I do. Now, you can put a knot on this or not. It's up to you. I put the knot because if I don't, a lot of times I'll just kind of draw it through. So, and you can do a double knot. Okay, you could do a double or not. Okay, so I'm going to put this down so you can follow me. And I welcome you if you're just coming on board. Okay, so we have our fabric pieces. Some of these I may cut down. As you know, I lost my scissors right smack in the middle of us, like right here. It's just the weirdest. Well, I'll have to find out where those went. But anyway, so this piece, this is your base for your Kiwandi. And so I'm just going to go, you can start in your left corner, you can start in your right corner. It doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't. But this, unlike Boro, so we're not doing Boro, this isn't Boro, don't get confused with Boro. Because with Sashiko, but both of them, I do not fold. Okay, look, I'm not folding this, but I want to show you something. In the authentic Kiwandi, they'll fold it like that, but this is the only row, as I understand it, going all the way around this first row, that they will fold it like that. Now, I understand some people are folding every single piece, and maybe some of the authentic Kiwandis do too, because there's some set rules in how to make Kiwandi with variations by the artist. Okay, it's up to the artist. But that's, I think, what this viewer is talking about, is she's folding. So what they do after they get their first row, we're not going to do this way, but we'll take another day to do that. But then they will take batting, let's say this is your batting, and they'll tuck it in like that, all the way around under your first row. And then they continue. So we're not doing that though, because for me, I look at my base piece, this piece, as my batting. So for me, I'm adding my first, this is kind of, these pieces I may have made almost too large. So I may be clipping them like that as we go along, because I feel some of these might just be too large, because this is such a small piece of fabric. And I kind of want to show you how we do this. Okay. And the other thing I love about Kiwandi is it really does go kind of quickly. So I'm just kind of bringing these down a peg because I feel I may have made them. I want to go around a couple times here. And with these sizes, so instead of the 2 by 3, or it's 4 by 3, bring it down to 2 by 3 or 2 by 2, something like that. And that will give us, bring it more into the sizing of this piece that we are working with. So, and I mean, yeah, if you feel that you need to bring your sizes down, bring them down. And now, all of the fabrics I'm using are different sizes. That's number one. So we'll start with this one. Okay. So I'm just going to go straight across. And I'm using different pieces. Now look, this is super important to answer this question. You see how that's uneven? That's okay in my book. And some authentic Kiwandis will make them uneven. Some will strive to have their pieces even. So it's up to you. But this is the basic Kiwandi concept, is you're going around the piece. Now, when you rip a piece, I don't know, I think I did say this, but when you rip a piece and you're taking off your little frayed area pieces there, those pieces, the edge, the raw edge is actually made stronger. It's made stronger by you ripping it. And it will be even stronger if you don't want fraying as an inherent part of your piece. Put fabric, spray it with fabric glue. I don't do that, but that's something you can do. Now, they also call this the soulful way to quilt. Now, you see the space here? You see that space? I think this is what is throwing the viewer off. So I'm going to purposely leave a space like that. And when you watch this, hopefully this will answer the question. Now you can overlap like this, or you can put it underneath. You do not have to overlap. You can overlap or underlap. Now look, this is our first row of Kiwandi inspired. This is how I do it. I always turn the piece towards me of the row I'm working on. Now this is a little uneven, but guess what? We cannot find, for the life of me, my scissors that were right in front of me. So I'm just sipping my coffee for a minute. So that's okay. We're going to leave that like that. Anyway, we're going to continue now, going this way now. I have the row facing me. I'm just going to tell you, and I say this over and over and over, if that row is not facing you, I guarantee you're going to lose your way, even if you're counting. And hi, Cosmic, hi. Even if you are counting your rows, you're going to lose your row unless you turn this towards you. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight across. Now you see some of these are a little even, some are not. I'm just overlapping. I'm at the end. You see here I'm at the end. So I'm going to put this way. Now I'm turning it again towards me. So this row I'm working on, I can see it clearly. It's towards me. Some of the pieces are coming out nearly even, some are not. That's okay though. That's okay in my book. This one is really, I want those strawberries right there. Really pretty. You want to overlap or underlap whatever you're doing. At least, some people say 1/2 inch. I say at least 1/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch. Yes, that's fine. You hear my finches in the background? Okay, that just happens to fit beautifully right there. So I'm turning this around. Now we're almost done with our first round of Kiwandi. This is why I call it Kiwandi inspired, because I have changed a few little steps. I am highly inspired by the method of going around. I'm going to need more fabric here. This one just happens to be folded all by itself. I don't want to confuse you on that, so I'm going to actually get rid of that fold, because I am not folding these. Okay. I'm almost done with the first round of Kiwandi. I'm almost done. It's the second and third and fourth. It's the latter rounds that people get mixed up on. And I totally get that, because when I first started doing this years ago, I totally get it. Okay, so this, I love the red, so I really want that to show more. And now you see here, I have a little piece of my base is showing. You see it? So I do want to put a piece there. I could select a small piece, and I guess I need more fabric here. So let me get a little bit more fabric. And I'm going to pick a small piece to put there. Okay. So this is my first row. Okay? That's the first row of Kiwandi. So to answer a few questions, yes, I leave the edges raw. I am not folding these. And no, they are not all the same size. So I am not manipulating the fabrics by making them the same size. So those kind of questions always come up. So now I'm going to continue with my, continue and make and start my second row. So this is my second row. And I've got this towards me. And this space, your spaces that are immediately after the piece you just put down are your guide. That's your guide, okay? You want to fill the space, making sure you also are overlapping 1/8 to 1/2 of an inch onto the previous fabrics or surrounding patches, okay? So if I did this, I put this on here, and the reason I say that is because if you don't have that guideline of like 1/8 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, you're liable to go all the way up here. Like you could go all the way up there and fill that little space. But if you do something like that, you're going to end up extremely frustrated because you're not going to get anywhere. So what you want to do is come back down here and just do a fingernail around these pieces, around the blank space. That's where you want your fabric to fall. If it doesn't cover it all the way, that's okay. Just get another piece to add to it to cover your space. So then we continue like that. We're going on to the next space, and that's right here. You're going to see how quickly this fills up. You're going to see how quickly. Okay. And I'm going to my next space. This is a small piece, so it's going to fill quickly. This is my second row. Nothing is even here. That's how I do it. What happens is when you get to the center of Kiwandi, the center is always bunched up. That's a very inherent part of the culture, of the cultural skill. So I'm turning it this way, and I'm continuing this way for my my patches. And now I filled that second row. So I'm continuing around my piece. And I want to stitch a little bit after this because I want to show you what the viewer was asking. Okay, so this is like really big, this piece for me. And I feel like I just don't need that piece that large. So I'm going to do that. And a lot of people will say, well, Carmella, you're not doing it right. But, and I will tell them, yes, I am, because, because when you're creative and you're inspired and you're doing it your way, there is no wrong way. That's the way. So this I'd like to underlap that. Same with this one. And this one I'm focusing again just on my eighth of an inch to half of an inch around the parameters. And I'm saying, oh, okay, I need another piece right here. Now the other thing I could have done is leave it like that. But I kind of want to do that. And I'm going to, this has a different design, but it's almost the same. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll put that there. And, or I could use this piece. That would be lovely. We'll use that piece, and I'm going to underlap it. Now, when you're going around stitching, if it pulls apart, like two pieces pull apart, the beauty of this type of creating is that you can add another patch, especially when you're doing Boro Sashiko. That's what it's all about, is patches. We'll do Boro Sashiko inspired projects too. So now I'm going to turn this and continue my second row of Kiwandi. Let's see. Oh, I have a nice red here. Now this may be too big, I'm feeling. I'm just going to do that. So we have done 2 rows of our Kiwandi. And now we're going to turn it this way, and we're going to finish up, which will bring us, and Kiwandi is complete. But this third row is going to close in the piece. It's going to close it in. And some people are probably saying, well, Carmella, I don't think so. But this is inspired. That's what you need to remember. Inspired means that you are not going by the traditional, authentic way of the historical cultural art. And I'm not, because I feel that the intricacies of the persons creating these arts right now in their own country, I want that really. I do not want to be trying to replicate that, but because I'm so inspired by what they're doing, I do want to create some pieces here using the historical cultural arts. Ancient methods is what I'm saying. So here we go. And I'm using just smaller pieces. I'm focusing on my spaces here. And if you want, you can manipulate these pieces a little bit more even. This is my third, and this is going to cover everything except this teeny tiny little piece right there. Guess what? It ends up pretty much in the center, even though these are uneven. So it usually does come out towards the center. Let's see. Just looking for a piece of fabric that will go nicely there. Maybe our green. Actually, you know what? I have a piece here that I just adore. Let me see. It's a blend. That's the other thing. We're using blends from the thrift shop. Some people may use all cottons. They may use all organic fabrics. But the traditional way of doing Kiwandi is they use what they had. So the city women of India will use blends. They will use used clothing. Look, I'm putting that in the middle. That's pretty. I don't know, though. It kind of jumps out of the theme of everything. Let's see here. Hold on. Maybe I will just go with this one. This is our little... Now, you see how quickly we put that together? That was super quick. Now I'm gonna do a little stitching because and for the sake of holding everything down, I need to pin some of these in place. So we're gonna do that. And then we'll do a little stitching, okay? And I'll show you, for the viewer who asked the question specifically about the stitching, I will show you the answer. Pretty quickly, too. Now, this is how I do it. Typically, what a lot of people do is they will stitch as they lay the patch down. That's not what I do. This one just wants to. This is why I pin them down. Is it a little difficult to sew them all? A little bit, but you get used to it. And what I do is I'll do stitches around, and then like quickly towards the center. I'll show you what I do, but and why it just goes quickly. It actually goes quickly. For me, I mean, you got to go at your own pace. I just love the method of going around and doing my stitching. So before we begin, like the stitching, I do want to say too, I'm going to have to move that again, I'm sure of it. So one of the things is, one of the stitches used a lot in authentic Kiwandi, actually. Okay, so they're using the sashiko stitching, your visible stitching, but they're also using what they call the back stitch, You could do the whole piece in a back stitch. But why do they use a back stitch? They use a back stitch because they didn't catch the fabric. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can end up not catching the fabric. Okay? So with that, we're going to, I must have put this down over here. We're going to start stitching, and I know that I threaded there it is. That's okay, we'll thread it again. Just saying. So if you're scrolling by and you're just joining us, what we've been doing is just laying the groundwork and laying out the patches for Kiwandi inspired piece. Okay, and now I'm going to put the camera back down. We're going to do some stitching so you can see. This is how I do it. Okay, so I laid out the whole piece. Okay, and now I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to start. It doesn't matter what corner you start in. I did not fold any of these. These are all raw pieces. And that is part of how the city women of India will make their quilts like that. The difference is I'm not adding the batting because for me, I'm counting my base piece as batting. So right here, I just want to show you, put that down. So right here, you see how that piece is lifting? Right there, if I go forward, it caught it just about 1/8 of an inch after the edge. So I'm going to do what the city women of India do. They do back stitches. They do back stitches to catch that. Okay, so I think that may have been part of the question. And the other part of the question is because I think, or another interpretation may be, that you said you were not catching the fabric as you're going around, and you probably are laying out row by row. Like I'm one row at a time, I'm guessing. I laid out all of my rows, but if I did one row at a time, what could happen is that no, you're not going to catch maybe part of it as you're going around. And so what I would say is what I do is after I do my main rounds, it's like I go around the piece a number of times is to make sure all of my pieces are sewn in place. And then I will actually go what I don't like to call it over stitching, but I will do more stitching. I will do more rows of sashiko stitching in between my rows that I had just done. And I've done this with you, and I'm going to show you a little bit here of some of the problems that you might be running into. So, and no, you don't have to do it the way I'm doing it, for sure. But if you are doing it row by row, like you're laying down your patches, like you lay down a patch and then you sew it, if you feel you're missing stitches, there's nothing that says you cannot go back and do another round in a particular place that you feel you need to do the round. Now, the thing you need to be conscious of is this. Right here, we're at the end of the row. So I'm turning the piece towards me. And I'm going to do one more stitch up here on that row. So I turn the piece towards me, and then I start stitching horizontally. I'm coming up through from the back, and I'm going to stitch straight down across. That's what you need to be conscious of when you are doing your rounds, is you want to be conscious of your spacing. When you get to your corners, and staying horizontally parallel to the round that is previous and after, that you're in between basically. So you just want to be conscious of that. So I hope that that helps. And we'll do more stitching as we go on through December and this coming year. We have a lot of projects in our Boro Sashiko inspired, and in this our Kiwandi. And if this is interesting to you and you're like, well, I'm not getting it, Carmella, that's okay. We have a lot of videos. We'll come back and we'll explain and explain. Now my book also, and I'm not trying to give it a promo, I'm just saying, the reason I wrote the book is because I would get the same questions. So I was able to, especially on Boro Sashiko, I was able to address them in the book. And that book, link to Amazon is in my profile. But the book is called Recycle, Inspire, and Create. And I talk about our environment. I talk about historical cultural arts and inspiration. And I have pictures of my projects, so you can see them, of Boro Sashiko inspired and some Kiwandi. I have at the end of the book all these questions and answers that people typically will ask me. And you know, one of them is, do you keep the edges raw? And I do. And I'm going to tell you, it is extremely strong. It is, people think, oh, well, my God, you're leaving the edges raw. That's not going to be a piece worth anything. This is an art that goes back thousands of years, and the pieces have adhered beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. So, with that, now this I'm going to do a back stitch. So anyway, with that, the book is, and so the book is called Recycle, Inspire, and Create. And then it's a long title. And then I have, then the title is Reviving Earth with Cultural Historical Arts. With historical cultural arts. And by me, and on Amazon for you. So I hope that that helps a little bit. And I don't know if this answered the question at all. Those are the main parts of sewing the Kiwandi. Now, this up. The other part of this Kiwandi inspired, I'm going to take that off for a minute, is that when you're done with it, okay, you've sewn this base, these patches, those are 2 layers. That's why I call it inspired, because I did my own take on it, is that I add a backing, and I consider this the middle layer. So 3 layers make a quilt. And in the original Kiwandi, in the authentic Kiwandi, what they do is they add the batting in between your top layer and your base. And they typically don't add a backing. So that's the difference. So there's still 3 layers there. There could be 4 if they want to add a backing. And the authentic Kiwandi pieces are extremely large. They're unbelievably beautiful. It takes the city women of India who are creating their pieces. Their Kiwandi, it will take them like a year. It could take them a year or longer. Okay. So with that, I hope that that helps. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer, and we'll continue with projects like this as we go forward. So thank you for asking the question, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend, and I send you love and light.